The church pews creaked as he lowered himself slowly, his hands trembling, his back stiff with years of battles that no one in this room had ever fought. A man in faded clothes, his boots worn, his hair graying in uneven patches. He was here to pray, nothing more. But the whispers came first, sharp, slicing through the stillness. Then a cough, a scoff, and finally, a hand on his shoulder. "You don't belong here," the usher muttered coldly, eyes darting toward the congregation. Murmurs rippled, heads turned away, and before he could gather his breath, he was ushered out, stumbling into the cold light of the Sunday morning. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. He paused on the steps, heart heavy, staring at the stained glass that shone with colors meant to symbolize mercy and love. Yet mercy had not met him here. Inside, mothers hushed their children, men tightened their ties, women adjusted their hats, as though the disruption had never happened. But someone had seen. Someone who remembered another kind of silence. The silence of trenches, the echo of lost brothers, the oath of honor never forgotten. The man's name was Samuel. Once, he had worn a uniform that bore the flag proudly on its sleeve. Once, he had led others into places where only courage could carry them. But wars don't leave quietly. They linger, in scars and in shadows, in hands that shake when the hymns begin, in eyes that close at the sound of thunder. Samuel knew this. The congregation did not. At the back of the church, a figure rose. His hair was white, his posture tall, his eyes sharp with both years and justice. Few recognized him at first, but those who did whispered his name with reverence. Judge Whitaker, a veteran not only of the courts, but of a war fought long before most in that room were born. He had seen men like Samuel before, men whose sacrifices were easy to forget until they stood in front of you. The air shifted as he walked forward. The organist hesitated, fingers hovering over the keys. The usher froze mid-step, as if suddenly aware of the weight of what he had done. Whitaker reached the doorway, where Samuel stood like an exile cast into daylight. For a long moment, he said nothing. He simply looked at the man who had been discarded. Then, slowly, deliberately, Judge Whitaker lifted his hand to his brow and saluted. A hush fell. It was not the quiet of dismissal, but the silence of shame, of awakening. One by one, others began to rise. A murmur spread, then a rustle of movement, as people stood to honor what their hearts had ignored moments before. Children pulled at their fathers' sleeves, asking why, and fathers struggled for words. Mothers lowered their eyes, guilt heavy, on their shoulders. And Samuel, weary, broken Samuel, felt his throat tighten, tears stinging his eyes as he returned the salute with a hand that shook but did not falter. This was not just a gesture. It was a judgment, more powerful than any delivered in a court. A reminder that dignity cannot be stripped by whispers, and that honor does not fade with tattered clothes. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And in that church, where he had once been forced out, Samuel found himself carried back and not by ushers, but by the weight of respect. The same respect he had given in silence, long ago, when others needed it most. Remember this. The world may turn its back, but courage always finds a witness. If this story touched you, share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us of the kindness and courage still alive in our world.